What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis, Sam Claiborne,
it's Spook Eve,
and Seth Macy is joining us here. Death Macy or Seth Stranding. Any of these, I think, will work.
I like Seth Stranding a lot, actually.
That's pretty good.
Did you just come up with it?
Just right now. Oh, you said Death Macy, so I'm not.
Well, Death Macy's my Twitter name.
Yeah, I came up with it though.
Right.
Welcome back, Seth. This is your first time in our new studio here.
Yeah, it's exciting.
What do you think?
I love it.
Okay,
It's beautiful and modern.
That's good. All right, we got a great show for you this week. Is it actually Spooky Eve? No, 'cause we have one more episode before Game Spook.
No, we're doing it next week.
No, but it goes up the next week, that week after.
Well, it's Spook Eve for us.
It's Spooky Eve.
There's nobody else here.
Anyway, we got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about the Analogue Pocket, which was just announced, the Game Boy to end all Game Boys. We're going to talk about some horror games. But first, we've received some gifts from one of our listeners here. Harry S. sent us a package with this skeleton that you see in front of you. And if you're just listening to this podcast at home, there's a tiny skeleton sitting on our desk in front of us.
He's officially the butt first skeleton. He's pointed butt first at us.
That's true. And he's holding the manual to Ghosts and Goblins on NES, which inexplicably features Captain Commando
On the cover.
for no reason whatsoever.
I was so excited to see that Ghosts and Goblins manual, and Damon was like, "You've owned that for years."
Yeah.
It's always been
You're
on
like,
Sam's
oh
desk.
man, where did you find
Yeah,
that?
who
I'm
sent us
like,
that Ghosts and Goblins?
Thank you so
we were rifling through the NES carts on your desk and found it.
Harry sent a note with the skeleton. It says, "Be careful. This will pull your hair up, but not out." Love the show. He also sent this 5-pound bag of gummy worms.
Pure money.
You can hear it.
The worms are their money.
Yeah.
The bones are their dollars.
Another note says, "I heard they said they wanted something spooky. Just be careful because the worms are their money and they've never seen so much food as
Yeah,
this."
there's half as much food underground as this.
Big fan of the show. Thanks for the weekly entertainment. Thank you, Harry
Another chance
S.
at life.
This skeleton will be joining us on the desk for the remainder of the month of October.
Awesome.
I thought you were gonna say it's just like part of it's just like February. There's a skeleton here for no reason.
If you have no idea what we've been talking about, go to Netflix, watch I Think You Should Leave, skip to episode 5. You don't need to watch the other ones. There's just a sketch comedy show. And then skip to the Johnny Cash parody episode about the 10-minute mark. I've told many people to do this now.
Yep. But would you believe these aren't the only gifts that we received recently? Would you believe?
Well, you didn't show me any
I don't
others,
believe
so
it.
I don't
That's
believe
why.
you.
The other one, though, came with no note.
Mystery gift.
We received a mystery gift. It's this box behind me.
Is it game manuals?
It is. It is a giant bag of glow-in-the-dark candy bars. 150 pieces. This was sent to Game Scoop at IGN with no note.
But sometimes you drunk order this stuff.
That's true.
To Game Scoop.
I sent it to Game Scoop. So this one we don't know who's from, but
Do you think the actual chocolate glows or just the wrapper?
Oh, you can really
it says
taste
miniature
the radium.
wrappers, glow-in-the-dark miniature wrappers. Which would be a good name for a rapper.
Yeah, that's a good band name.
Children.
So, Justin, we'll see who has the most popular candy bowl on their desk now, because none of your candy glows in the dark.
What the hell? We don't work in the dark.
Well, sometimes if you feel guilty about eating candy, you want to go to a dark room and eat it by yourself.
Oh, boy.
And that is all the scoops we have this week. All right, moving on. The Analogue Pocket. Very cool handheld new device that plays all Game Boy games, and plus there's an adapter to play other classic handheld games from Game Gear, Lynx, Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's from the guys that brought you the Analogue NT, the Super NT, the Mega SG.
SG, yeah.
I think so. So these guys make fantastic recreations of classic consoles that don't use emulation. That means it's not like a RetroPie. You have to actually supply your own cartridges, but it's the best way to play classic games on these systems today without emulation.
Yeah, it's like basically it thinks it's a Super Nintendo when it's built the right way.
So dumb.
It's so dumb. It doesn't know. It's definitely not using any kind of emulation. But they also like hook up really easily to TVs and stuff. And so that's why I'm excited this has that cradle, because it
has a dock.
It has a dock just like a Switch, and it's just like plug and play to put your Game Boy games on TV.
So you just answered one of my questions, which is the whole point of the Analog is that it's hard to hook up these consoles to modern televisions, right? Whereas the Analog has HDMI out, like like removes those barriers. But with a handheld, you don't have the like. Why should I buy this instead of just buying like a Game Boy Advance SP to play?
Yeah, because you still have a thing with screens that plays your old game.
Yeah,
It also has a super high resolution Like,
And by the way, like I'm not
1440p.
criticizing, like, I'm honestly asking what.
No, it has
Well-
an incredibly high resolution screen.
So it's a nicer screen.
Oh, it's
An amazing, probably the best screen of any handheld device ever.
Yeah.
What about the Switch? What about the iPad?
No.
What about
Yeah,
my
well,
iPhone 11?
I don't know about the iPad or the iPhone, but like a dedicated
I
gaming
understand.
device.
Yeah.
It is better than the Switch, I think. And it also plays not just Game Boy games, not just Game Boy Advance games. It'll play
See, the
games.
thing is, when you
It's
play
other
this,
systems as
it's
well.
like you're in the game.
Yeah,
Got it.
You can feel it.
Is the screen backlit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, it's
super.
just like
it's an
LCD screen.
That's an upgrade from Game Boy, right? But there's plenty of things that play Game Boy with nice backlit screens. So you're right. That you might not need this if you have a really nice Game Boy or DS Lite. DS Lite does a lot of this, and a lot of other people out there are probably going to amass a bunch of Atari Lynx games.
I do want one. Like I'm not trying to be critical of it. Like I have a massive pile of Game Boy and Game Boy Color and GBA carts, and I have there's Game Boy Advances in my house somewhere, but I haven't seen one in years. So
The Game Boy Advance library is like
It's
one of the most
amazing.
important, untapped, like amazing libraries of all time. It's Super Nintendo quality in a bigger library.
Yeah.
By threefold.
it's got advanced.
Well, there's a lot of shovelware on there. You probably don't want to
all
play.
good.
You don't want to play 90% of those games.
What about X versus Sever?
Yeah, probably not that one. I think we get that for 20 questions sometimes. Anyway, I think this is very cool. It's coming next year. $200. Some people are balking at that
Ooh.
price. Some people are balking at that price.
Does it come with the adapters?
I'm not sure if it comes with the adapters or not. And it does not come with the dock. The dock is sold separately.
Right.
Your parents help you hook it up.
I think it looks really cool. I like the in the same way. Oh crap! What's the name of the thing with the crank?
Playdate.
The Playdate.
Playdate.
It's
Yeah,
got a
I brought
similar
that up too. Yeah.
It's got a similar vibe to it, and it just feels. This is very unscientific, but just I'm drawn to the industrial design of it, and that's like very intangible.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the dock is beautiful too. I like the setup of it. The libraries of games available for these systems is like the shovelware is cheap for them, but like the games that are good are really expensive. So that's another barrier to entry. Like if you want to get the Oracle games or the Castlevanias or
Those are
whatever,
the
like,
Capcom made Legend of Zelda games.
or Metroid Zero Mission. Like I know those are like they're not $5 games anymore. They're $20 games or more than that. And that's unfortunate, but they're really good games. It's also very easy to emulate those on many other things that have bright screens. So I don't know how this will do, but it's for a specific audience like the other analog things. And for me, like I love having Super Nintendo and Nintendo hooked up to my TV anytime. I don't have a bunch of systems hooked up, just those and my new systems. And I think this would fit really nicely between
Yeah.
those.
It's interesting that it'll play these other consoles like Game Gear, Lynx, Neo Geo Pocket Color. But if those adapters are sold separately, and if you need individual adapters for each one,
Have to, yeah. They're
I
so
don't know-
different from each
I
other.
don't know how popular those would be.
Did anybody here own a Lynx?
No.
No.
Lynx?
I have my dream get is that Marlboro branded
That
Atari
exists?
Lynx.
It's a cigarette Lynx?
It was you'd save all your points from the packs of cigarettes and you would cash it in for this Marlboro branded adventure team Atari Lynx, and they made a game Marlboro
peak
Go.
human creation.
It's beautiful. It's cherry red, candy red.
Yeah.
It's very enticing to
Marlboro
smokers
red.
and
I need a
definitely not children. And they made a game like a motocross game just for it, and it's actually a pretty decent game. It just says Marlboro every.
Yikes!
Never come on the show again without that.
You're not allowed back in the office.
Yeah.
How does one? Is this like a collector's item or is it?
Yeah, I think there's only like one
like one
known.
element.
So
Yeah.
you're just making it worse. Only one person smoked enough to get that Lynx.
Yeah, right.
I could have done it.
He was the Marlboro man.
Yeah. Well,
That's how you.
I don't even think I can finish one cigarette, but I could have done it for this.
would have been worth it. Also, the Lynx has like a widescreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that will look in this case. I guess the Game Boy Advance did too. So maybe
I'm excited about Neo Geo Pocket, like the opportunity to collect some of that game library and get some of those carts. I never owned one. There was really interesting, quirky games in that game library that may have been. I'm not positive this is true. I think that console is the first time we saw like Final Fantasy 1 get remade, which has now been remade several times, but like interesting
true?
versions.
I think that's
of it.
Wonder Swan,
Oh, I might be thinking of
might
Wonder
be,
Swan.
which would have been really cool.
maybe
But there
this
was
will
Pocket
support Wonder
Fighter.
Swan.
Yeah, you're right. I am thinking of Wonder Swan.
There was I looked at the list of games for all these systems, and the Lynx, the entire system is just arcade ports and games that were also on the NES. Like,
Well-
it's such a weird era for that.
I don't know about that because there's stuff like Chips Challenge that was not on NES.
Well, sorry, I should say PC games from that era
PC
too,
games,
but
yeah.
it's just ports.
Yeah,
everything.
It's also pretty. It's like 70 games. It's like a pretty small game library.
Yeah, California Games is on it though.
California Games
hell yeah.
is on.
Lemmings is on every system that this thing plays,
Except
for Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Yeah.
So my challenge to you out there: make Lemmings for Neo Geo Pocket Color already. Can you help out with this?
yeah.
We need to play Lemmings on every system.
I wonder what game is on the most systems.
Lemmings has got to be up there.
Tetris.
Yeah, there's games like Tetris which are on
Yeah,
like,
but
so many phones.
I guess we have to define the rules of like, no, we don't. We can just move on with the show. But like not a version of Tetris. Like a single game.
Oh,
What
okay.
single game appears on the most consoles? I'll look it
I
up.
don't know. Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a good question. We'll look it up. All right, let's move on. We finally know the launch day for Google Stadia,
Finally.
the streaming console. I know people are very skeptical about this, understandably so, but we now know it's going to begin on November 19th, and that means we'll finally find out if this streaming system actually works.
Why did you use the word begin in that way?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like you wouldn't say the PlayStation 5 begins November 2020.
Because it's more of a service
okay.
than
Okay.
than- it's not a console launch; it's a service launch, right? But what's interesting to me is that even though we know the launch date, we do not know the launch day game library.
Yeah.
They have not announced that. There is no official launch day game library for Google Stadia. There are 2 confirmed games: Destiny 2 and Red Dead 2, but that's it.
Yeah.
What
and
about, isn't Borderlands 3?
It's coming. We don't know if it'll be available on day 1.
Assassin's Creed.
you found that
Don't
those
know.
are the 2 launch games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've announced like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming, but they haven't confirmed whether or not these games will be available on launch day.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the game list is the most important thing for me for Stadia for any system.
System, right?
And like, I know you guys had a big conversation about PS5 last week. I listened to the show, and I was thinking the whole time, like, it's weird that they're rolling out specs and stuff like that, and people are interested in that, and that's great. But like, it really matters to me what I'm going to be playing on the system every time. And I can't wait to find out what games are on the system. But for Stadia, there's also no killer app that I'm aware of that is going to turn me over to it because it doesn't have like an exclusive.
I think Google's in like real, not trouble, but like it doesn't matter how amazing and like breathtaking and jaw-dropping this service is if there's not games to play on it. Like the games make the service, the games make the hardware always. And that seems to be, maybe it's not a missing component. We just don't know. Maybe in 2 weeks,
sure.
they're going to say, here's the 40 launch games.
Sure.
But so far, it doesn't, they don't seem to have grokked that part of it.
If they do confirm those 40 launch games and it's stuff like Borderlands 3 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that would be a pretty solid launch lineup for a console or a service.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Did you guys see the reporting we did on like how Stadia plans to fix lag and stuff like that going
Yeah,
forward?
they had a weird quote.
Latency.
It was going to have negative.
Yeah, it was time travel.
It's
Basically.
Spidey sense, basically.
But yeah, like the way I would describe it is that they want to eventually be able to push to you every single thing you could do with your controller as an option. And so when you instantly choose it, it already can go that direction. So it's basically like a choose your own adventure each time. So you're downloading basically every single eventual outcome that you could make. So it could have you instantly make it.
Yeah.
That is like an insane future technology thing. That sounds really interesting, but it's so future, and it's like you can do that right now off of a disc the next 10 years. But it's just like the idea of that computing power is really cool to me. Actually, like I think it's like I'm skeptical that it's something that will happen in our lifetime.
Input prediction,
But
input prediction's really cool. And
It's
fascinating.
really cool.
Are you skeptical that Google Stadia will work in our lifetime?
I mean, you already know my skepticism on that, but I want them to have a chance, and like obviously, I want to see what happens. You were saying something about how we'll see if it works. Like, we honestly won't see if it works unless they stick with it for 2 years and get it to work.
That's true.
I think it's going to be like a beta test for a long time.
But it's okay because Google always sticks with its products.
That's what I was going to say.
well, Google Plus was around for 5 years or something. After
That's my biggest concern is like Google has a history more so than almost any other big tech or gaming company
just
of
killing
just
stuff.
killing stuff.
Even if
that's
it's
not
like
working.
Yeah.
Even if it is working. Remember Google Reader? I loved Google Reader.
Google Reader was great.
One day it was just like
Gone.
Yeah, they just sort of semi-abandoned their Daydream VR platform.
Remember, they're an ad company. That's where they make their money. So if they can't figure out how to make ad revenue off of a service, they're gonna kill it.
So that's what worries me. Like I think Stadia, I remain a little bit more bullish and excited about it than many people that I know, but I am a little worried that like if it's not, ramping rapidly in 12 months, that like that company's willingness to just kill things, as you say, is like very well known. And contrast that with something like Microsoft, or like, man, it took Xbox a long time, like a decade,
A generation.
And they
Console generation.
They doubled down and stuck with it and sort of recognized the potential there. And it's like,
And then,
well, but even so, like, I think Xbox as a business is like not.
I think
they've lost this console war, but monetarily, I think they're doing all right.
I think even if they're in a distant second place, like they're financially doing okay. All right. Google Stadia is launching on November 19th. We shall see. I think I'm the only one here who actually pre-ordered the Founders Edition. So
What color?
Yeah, I
did you
definitely didn't.
I think it just
Wasabi?
I think it was like Night Blue was the one that the only color you got with the Founders Edition.
Oh.
You're passing?
Did you?
I don't.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
Call it morbid curiosity. Speaking of morbid, who can forget
Monster Party?
the torture chamber from Splatterhouse?
Not me.
Let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like Jake from Indianapolis did.
Hey, Jake.
He's got a simple question. Is BioShock a horror game? He can elaborate. Last week, I bought the BioShock collection, having never played any of them before. Hearing how great they were, I was eager to start my journey to Rapture. I'm about 5 hours in and can confidently say I am enjoying my time with it. It is one of the more stylized games I think I've played. My question is, do people consider BioShock to fit in the horror game genre? I couldn't help but feel like the game's creepy, horror 50s art style makes it a perfect horror game to play around Halloween. Keep up the good work for my ear holes.
Damon, what's the difference between a thriller and a horror?
I wouldn't expect a thriller to have any sort of like supernatural element to it,
But horror doesn't have to either.
but it usually does.
Well, what about like slasher movies?
I mean, Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees are absolutely supernatural creatures that cannot be killed.
Sure.
And those are horror movies.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I don't think.
Give me an example of a thriller in your mind.
well, I was going to give this as an example of a thriller.
I actually think there's a lot of horror elements. There's like scary moments.
Thrillers are sometimes associated with murder in a detective genre. So it'd be like in literature, it'd be like, the classic detective novel could be considered a thriller.
I think it has to do, and this is doubly true in games, with the power of the protagonist and how powerful you are and how powerful you feel in the game, and your ability to, fight back and push back against, the stuff that's being shoved in your face.
Yeah.
Like BioShock, it's a horrifying game. You're in a really spooky place. All the stuff with Cohen, what's his name? The guy that wears the mask. It's that whole section of the game. It's horrifying.
It's just been a long time since I played.
like
Would you kindly move on?
So all that stuff, like super spooky, right? But I don't think it's the same as a horror game where it's really playing a lot with, you're never have enough resources to do what you need to do. You're afraid and you're forced to run away through, game mechanics or interactive story events. Whereas like, you have an ability to sort of like, bulldoze through everything that's in your path in BioShock. So
That's
I think
true.
that removes the, that's why I wouldn't put it in the horror game category.
That makes sense.
I don't think it's spooky enough.
Yeah. Lacks
You agree?
spookiness. Yeah.
Spider webs for sure need to be in there.
There's no spiders down there, man.
no
it's
spiders.
a perfect society.
Who brought the spiders? That'd be the worst case scenario. This was a spider-free place until Terrence brought spiders.
Thanks, Terrence.
That's the guy in the mask, by the way. That's what Justin was talking about. No.
All right. Sorry, Jake from Indianapolis.
Sander Cohen. That was his name.
There you go. Nailed it. What are you apologizing for?
That we've rescinded his ability to call BioShock a horror game.
I think he can call it whatever he wants to call it.
Well,
But I don't
are
have
you
to
sure
agree.
Did he
about
call it
that?
a fantasy
So
game?
he can be
Yeah, he
wrong.
could call it a fantasy
I think
game.
it is a fantastical world. It's like this cool emerald city that's underwater, right? That's a classic fantasy.
Everyone's just having a good time.
Madden's a role-playing game because you're playing the role of a. That's
true.
Could you call it an esport?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Things are getting out of hand. Let's move on.
It's a different torture chamber.
That was Splatterhouse 2. This is Caesar Taryn in Smithtown, New York. He wants to know if we've ever regretted a console purchase. Says, I love the show I've been watching for the last few years. I've been playing video games since the late 70s, so you can take a guess at my age. Anyway, I really felt what Tina had to say last week about when to buy a new console. From my experience, I did not want to buy a Vita until I saw Uncharted Golden Abyss was only available on it. That forced my hand. I'm a huge Uncharted fan, but in retrospect, Vita was a bad purchase. So my question to the team, have you made a bad console purchase decision due to one game you loved?
Good question.
I made the worst one ever.
Well, here we go.
When I was, what year did the Genesis come out? Like
89.
89, and then Sonic was out in 91, I think, right?
Yep.
So
Took 2
in
years,
1991, I finally realized that there was a game I wanted more than anything in the world, no Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, 1991 was a pretty good year for the NES still, okay? And so I was living in Phoenix as a kid. And
You're still
there
getting
was-
Mega Man 4.
Yeah, there's
3
still
or
stuff
something
coming out, and the Super Nintendo was kind of out by then too, and I wasn't really into it for some reason. I really wanted Sonic. That's all that mattered. And the marketing worked on me perfectly. So I went with my dad to the first used game store that ever existed, probably in Phoenix, like way deep Phoenix, not where I lived. I lived in Scottsdale. And I went there and we took all of my games. And like a big box of them, like NES games with the boxes, because I was like, a collector kid and stuff, and sold my NES and all my games and got Sonic and Genesis out of the box used, and I took it home and it was great. They gave me just enough for that, right? And this is all the NES games, and my dad is like,
And what
I
store-
bought
what
all these
store was
games for like whatever, $50 or $70.
What store was it?
It was some. I don't know,
wasn't
maybe
like
if you know,
Cabbages
it
or-
was called like a game store on Greenway in Phoenix. I don't know what it was called. It's called Games and Stuff, and it might have been called that actually. Golf and Stuff was nearby. So that was the first time where it was like the sticker shock of looking at it's not a sticker shock, but the receipt shock. It was like they gave me 50 cents for like so many of those great NES games, like great ones. And then my dad, I remember him saying like, why did they give you $7 for Final Fantasy? So even at that time, they knew like that game was like more valuable to resell, and they wanted to like pull in copies of it, but like totally screwed by a game store as a little kid to play Sonic the Hedgehog. I totally regretted getting a Genesis. I bought 5 games for the Genesis its entire lifetime. The rental stores never had anything good.
But, you don't like bear any ill will to the Sega Genesis today, do you?
I hate it so much.
I think the Sega Genesis was a great console.
No, it's cool. I
volume
liked
slider.
it more.
Out of volumes.
Once I got a Super Nintendo, I was like, holy crap, there's so many more games I wanted to play just because
It's no Super Nintendo. That's
it wasn't
not
marketed towards me. Like all the sports games early on and stuff, like I didn't care about that, so it was tough.
Seth, how about you? Ever
Does the,
regretted a console purchase?
Does the PlayStation Classic count?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people regret that.
I bought
Did you
that
review
for,
it?
No, I bought that for $25 and I still regret it. I played it once and I was like, no. No, I would rather hook up my
What do you
original
mean you got it for
PlayStation.
$25?
It was on sale.
Oh, yeah.
Brag. He runs the deals and stuff.
By the way, IGN deals on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, follow, and
Mostly Seth.
it's mostly me.
I got it for $25.
Well, the thing
I
is,
can
and
find
that
you
was-
it for maybe half that.
What was even more regrettable was about a week later, Amazon had it for $19.99.
There you go.
So I
Which
paid.
It's not about the $5. It's just about the audacity of
right.
How much do you think they are now?
They're hovering around $29. They're not worth. I
you still get-
cannot recommend anybody buy.
and they launched for what, like $100?
$99.
Yeah.
That thing
Are you
was
serious?
$99 when that came out.
Yep.
And I had
They're
a
gonna push it
pre-order,
for
and then I canceled my pre-order when all the news came out about it. Actually, another console that I regretted was I always wanted a Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
I finally bought one like 3 years ago. Was very excited, hooked it up, played Virtua Fighter, and I said, "Wow, I've wasted my time and my money." I packed it back up and it sat on my shelf. And
Wait,
actually
Virtua
ended up-
Fighter, the only game you played?
yeah, I was like, I don't want to play Sega Saturn ever. All the games that you
like
want to
Dragon
play are
Force.
super expensive.
Yeah, the importing scene was around, but it's like it wasn't like everywhere. And people know a lot more about good Saturn games now than we did in the time. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. It's hard to play Sega Saturn
Did you have
games
a
now.
32X?
No, I did not.
I bought that and regretted it. What about a Virtual Boy?
I wanted a Virtual Boy
bought that and
worse than
regretted it.
anything.
wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. Like the worst console I owned was probably the Sega CD, but I was too dumb at the time to regret it. I'm like,
I was going to say, so I bought that, but I like it.
yeah, it's like, and those games are bad, but like I didn't know they were bad then. Like Sewer Shark, I was so blown away by just seeing like human beings in my video game.
Yep. 3, 6, 9.
Yeah. Your rat breath, your dog meat for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever really regretted a console purchase. The Dreamcast is the one that I bought and probably used the least, but I bought it used from a friend, so I couldn't have paid much for it. So.
So there's an argument that like I've defended the Xbox One. I think last week I was talking about how I like that console and didn't mind buying it, but like
You definitely weren't. I listened.
okay, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. But that console, I don't know that I've played very many exclusives on it. Like I've sort of fallen off the Gears of War franchise. I've sort of fallen off the Halo franchise. So it's like maybe could have skipped that one. But even so, like the multi-platform games I played on it, you know, they ran great. So.
Even the Wii U, when I think about it, I have really good memories of playing
I loved
Wind Waker
Wii U.
HD and Super Mario Land 3D? Super Mario 3D
Land.
World. Right?
Yeah, you
It
got
is that,
there.
right?
You got there.
Super Mario 3D World. NES Remix, the first Mario
man, I
Maker.
forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Ah, such a good game.
NES Remix 1 and 2 not coming back on the Switch remains. It just makes me angry every time. I forget about it, and then it pops into my head, and then I get mad.
Yeah.
I regret buying a Kinect.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go. Jeez.
That was a foolish move. And then the Xbox One, the original model, I just wish I would have been able to upgrade faster. I'm actually an Xbox first person. I play everything on Xbox One. I really like the new Xbox. You guys were talking about this last week. It's just on my mind. I just wanted to get that out there.
I know. I tend
You
to be.
just said we didn't talk about it last.
No, you didn't talk about liking Xbox One. Everybody talked about how much they like the PlayStation.
It is true. I tend to be a little negative on Xbox, but I know a lot of our viewers and listeners like their Xbox. And sorry, I don't mean to. Don't mean to be too negative towards it. Let's move on. This is Martin
Hey, Martin.
from the UK.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Land. Was this Splatterhouse 3?
Nope, still Splatterhouse 2. And first of all, before we get to his question, Martin also suggested a 20 questions game that is being rejected.
Ooh.
He suggested the game.
Can I guess it?
Yeah, guess it.
What system?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard of this game.
Fire and Ice for NES.
No,
UN
that
Squadron.
wasn't it.
Earthworm.
UN Squadron is
is
closer. It was called Dropship United Peace Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seth would have got that.
No, I wouldn't have actually. I wish I could.
We've never heard of this game. We can't do games we've never heard of.
Say the name again. I'm going to look up what it was for.
Dropship United Peace Force.
This is what people. Let's just
Or Dropship.
Oh, you know, it was probably one of those Spectrum ZX games.
Maybe.
Let's
They used to play
state
on the Specky.
explicitly that when you're picking a 20 questions game, you're trying to pick something that you think we have a plausible opportunity
Exactly.
of actually winning.
Yeah.
It's not like
not
if,
super obvious.
if you were just
It's a
trying to
PlayStation
win,
2 game.
A PlayStation 2 game?
3D PlayStation 2 game about a dropship uniting peace.
Good.
If you were
good.
just trying to win every single time, you'd just pick stuff like
Yeah.
United Peace Force.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Martin does have a question. He says, with the news that the PS5 and probably the Scarlet will allow you to install only the parts of a game you want to play, campaign or multiplayer, in order to save space on the console, would the next logical step, and frankly, a more consumer-friendly step, not be to just allow people to purchase the part of the game they want to play in the first place? I mean, if you think about Call of Duty, for the obvious example, I don't play the multiplayer, have no real interest in online multiplayer in general, and I'm reluctant to pay $60 to play a campaign that will, in all likelihood, be a half-baked afterthought. I understand this will be difficult in physical retail stores, but certainly digitally it must be possible. I'd much rather have the option to pay $20 to $30 for the part of the game I actually want to play. I know the answer will be that the companies would rather force people to pay full price for everything, but in a world where developers are making a fortune on microtransactions, I think it would be refreshing to do something a bit kinder to consumers' wallets.
Didn't the last Call of Duty do that?
Last Call of Duty had no campaign.
No. I mean, they came out with like a $30 version that dropped, I think, zombie mode, and so it was just multiplayer and Blackout.
Did you dream that?
No, I did not dream that.
The last Call of Duty
Black Ops 4.
just didn't have a campaign.
It didn't have a campaign, but it had a zombie mode. It had Blackout, which is its battle royale, and it had, of course, multiplayer. And after, I don't know, 2 months, they came out with a version that dropped one of the modes that was like $29.99. You could buy it. Just that. If you didn't want the zombie mode, which I never played anyway.
It cost $29.99. How much did you pay for it?
How much did I pay for it?
What kind of deal did you get?
What kind of deal did I get? I believe I got that game for free, but I don't remember how.
Hit up Seth if you want that game for free. I'll look you up. It's at Death Macy
Death Macy on Twitter.
with Twitter.
Or Seth Stranding.
Yep.
He answers to both. So yeah, of course, this sounds like it would be a better option for the player, but I have a hard time imagining publishers
Yeah, no.
providing that service.
But Martin touched on something important, which is that a tremendous amount of revenue that game developers make comes from microtransactions now and DLC and people that are in your game getting them to spend a little bit more. So that's like the whole crux of free to play games, right? Like we're going to get 1 million people to download our game and then sell them skins. So maybe in that sense, reducing the price of entry from $60 to $20 or something less.
Yeah.
And then you have the opportunity to have more customers and, earn back that lost upfront revenue in microtransaction revenue. Like,
Yeah.
there may actually be a business case there.
But I wonder if the reality is that games with that include both a campaign and a separate multiplayer mode are just a little bit outdated now.
Yeah.
Like what, besides Call of Duty and like Rockstar games with their campaign and their online mode, like what else is really even doing that anymore?
That's a really good point, Damon.
Thank you. Thanks, Justin.
I wanted to reserve some time in this conversation to read the end of the review for Dropship Piece whatever.
Oh, okay.
On IGN.com.
Dropship United Peace Force or Dropship UPF.
Yeah. We gave it a 7.9.
Wow.
It's good.
It's pretty good.
This author
almost
starts
great.
with a banned phrase on IGN.com. I'm going to start there.
Banned
Dropship is a jack of all trades, master of none. Never say that.
Banned BANN.
Yeah, but what are fans of the genre going to think of it?
Exactly. We try to avoid those.
Could be a little something for
old
everyone.
cliches.
It's a real mixed bag.
He says, I would forewarn gamers that Dropship takes a good amount of time to master. It also brings the enemy AI hard at times. I don't know what that means. Making the game challenging and sometimes frustrating. It's not a casual ho-hum game by any means. Still, I would definitely recommend it to hardcore gamers because it's an atypical title that's really unlike anything else in the PS2 market. Definitely rent this, or perhaps buy it.
Okay, I have a new idea for a feature. Top 10 games we recommend for hardcore gamers.
That you can rent or buy.
You could rent or buy.
Or don't play.
Yeah. That's what the whole last paragraph is just like, how do I end this? Oh, just the same way I've ended every review I've ever written.
That was so many words. I don't know anything about the game.
Well, it has good AI.
Okay, let's do one more
Yeah,
email.
you guys hard.
Let's do one more email before we do 20 questions. This is Justin Moore in Imperial, Missouri.
That
What?
pitch bend was really good at the end.
Do you all have any snacks that you enjoy eating while gaming? For some reason, if I plan on putting some long hours into a game, I always seem to be eating animal crackers. Don't know why.
They're so whimsical.
Well, good thing we have 5 pounds of gummy worms. Black Forest, so juicy, so good.
Did you know gummies are actually the
Hashtag not
spookiest
sponsored.
dessert because they're made from beef tallow?
What now?
Gummies
I don't
are the
eat them.
spookiest dessert because they're made from beef
But I don't
tallow.
know what that is.
Beef tallow is when they've slaughtered all the animals and they've taken everything that's useful.
So-
they take the bones and they grind them down.
So they're like hot dogs.
They're just like hot dogs that have fruit juice in them.
They're not vegan?
No, they're extremely not vegan,
But there are versions of gummy snacks that are vegan.
and they're terrible.
They're not as
Anyway.
gummy. I think Swedish fish, for example, are not a gummy snack that are
Really?
made out of tallow because they're not chewy. They don't have that gelatin.
They're delicious though.
I don't remember
pretty
the
good.
question.
Any snacks you like to enjoy while gaming?
Well, I was gonna if anyone's if you're playing like an RPG, how are people like snacking when they're playing like action games?
Yeah.
Well, in between when it's loading or you're
Cutscenes.
going to the next level or something. Yeah.
I don't like
In the lobby.
I don't like to set my controller down if the game's unpaused. I have to pause the game.
Well, I agree. I
Can't
would
let
agree
my
with that.
character stand there.
I would
There's
agree
like,
with that.
you know how games tap into the same like brain responses that gambling does and that winning in sports does and some other things. They give you this kind of an endorphin high when
yeah.
you do things that like when you beat something. So and if I find that that thing sends me to the kitchen to get a snack. And so I've had to fight that. I don't do that.
Wow.
I always want to go up and get, so like I'll get like, a sparkling water or something like that, or else you would get too snacky. That really happens though. I'm always like, wow, that took a lot. I got to take a break. But my break brings me into the kitchen and I get all snacky.
Yeah.
I don't eat.
You don't feel that way?
when I'm playing games.
I do like to have a snack while I play a game. It's called a hazy IPA.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite gaming
You guys
snack.
remember when you're kids and like I have distinct memories of playing NES at a friend's house and they would have like sour cream and onion Lay's
yeah.
chips, like the greasiest possible.
Oh, yeah.
The whole bag would be in front of us. We'd have the controllers and we'd just be like,
Yeah.
greasing those controllers up the whole time.
Controllers are disgusting for sure.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't eat anything that gets your hands dirty.
See,
I'm
it depends on
holding
if I'm playing with console, I don't really care. If I'm playing with my PC, I won't eat. But when I'm playing console, give me a bowl of hot and spicy Cheez-Its every time.
Every
Jesus.
time.
That's a
Every
good
time.
go-to.
Those are
Those are very snackalicious.
They are top tier snacks.
I think Damon and I are opposite in this way. Like a quirk about me that people might not know is that I don't like to drink alcohol and play video games at all. And like, since that's my primary hobby, I think it legitimately, like, I think if I didn't play games, I'd probably drink twice as much beer as I drink in my life. Because I don't like, if I have, by the end of one, I can feel it in my performance in the game. And like, I don't like that feeling. I don't have anything against drinking, but I just don't like to mix the two.
What you do is you have the Razor Game Fuel right after the beer.
Yeah.
It balances you right
Flushes it right out. Yeah.
I would drink for like playing party games with friends or playing arcade games or playing pinball or like things that are social games. But like if I'm playing just, any game by myself, I'm not going to do that.
I just get bored. Like when I'm drinking alcohol, the video games make me bored. Like I'm bored with this.
Yeah.
I think literally anything you could do in life is more fun if you're having a drink.
It probably is.
Driving.
Well, I mean,
No, Damon.
was a
setup.
I'm not saying anybody should do it. I'm saying it's possible. It could be more fun.
I'm leaning away from the microphone.
Very bad idea, though. Very, very bad idea. That brings us to video game 20 questions.
Oh, man.
And you guys have a choice to make.
Oh.
This week, you get to choose if you want to play on normal mode or hard mode.
What's the difference?
Cool. Hard mode is better music.
Does everyone agree that you want to play video game 20 questions on hard mode?
I don't understand what I'm signing up for.
There are
Will
two
you vote
games.
with me?
Oh,
Yeah, I'll go hard.
Yeah, we got 2 votes to 1.
Last time I was here, I came through on question 20.
Really? What
Yeah,
game was
with
it?
Battleborn.
Nice.
Battleborn.
That was a fun one. I remember that.
Okay, we'll play on hard mode. The person who sent it in, their name is in my pocket, so I'll reveal it after the end of the game.
Okay.
Video game 20 questions. Hard mode. Let the questioning begin.
Okay, so it's not music related. That's not good.
hard mode is where Damon just makes it up as he goes along.
Hey,
It's
this-
not as hard as Dropship United Peace Force.
I think I've cracked the code.
Okay.
From listening to the last episode and being part of the last couple. Is this game spooky?
No.
What? That's all you were
Hard
choosing.
mode.
Wow.
So it's not a dead game.
That's not another question.
What's that space game?
The dead game? What was that?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that controversy. I'm glad that the commenters
Spacegate.
were on my side on that.
Well, as an outside listener, I could tell that you guys all should have got that a lot earlier.
we got
I'm just kidding.
No, a win is a win.
All right, you know that it's not a spooky game.
Is it a console game?
It was available on a console.
So he just gave us 2 clues. One is that it was the thing he said, and the other is that it's not available anymore in consoles.
All right.
Is this from before 2000?
Yes.
This is from before 1990.
Was on consoles.
Is it before 1990? No.
90s game.
90s Sess will remember.
Man, see, I'm starting to think it's like, I mean, this isn't a question, but I think I already have an
You know
idea.
what it is?
Oh,
No, you
wow.
don't.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, wow. Let's go
I've-
for this.
No. Let's see where this goes. Let's ride this train.
Okay. You want to write it down so then you can say you knew what it was? From
And like, we'll seal it in an envelope.
Yeah. You can put it in Damon's pocket with the other stuff he put in his pocket. I don't know why you
That's
put it in
the
his
thing,
pocket.
Damon. Check
No
your
sense.
pocket now.
You can't see the answer. The answer's in my pocket. Did you guys know that the answer's in my pocket every week along with some facts if I need
Oh,
to look
so that's
something
why
up?
we can't see it. All right.
So was on consoles,
90s game.
90s game.
Was this on a cartridge?
Yes. That's 5.
Was this on a Genesis cartridge?
No.
Super Nintendo?
No.
Oh, boy.
I have no idea now.
N64,
Everything-
Game Boy, NES.
Yeah. Is this for, was this, should we go with handheld or 64?
It's probably not a 60. I can't imagine a 64 game being a hard mode game because that's like we dial in on that library pretty quickly, right?
Maybe.
I don't care.
Is this a Nintendo 64 game?
No.
Ugh.
Is this a handheld game?
No.
Okay. Is this a TurboGrafx game?
No.
Stop
know.
it,
That
Sam.
We need to know what console it's on.
That is 10. Also, the TurboGrafx 16 didn't have cartridges.
You wouldn't
It had
call those things
cards.
cartridges?
The cards.
I thought it had.
Game cards.
That's
Cue
like-
cards.
No, it has cartridges and cards.
It's a cart.
No.
It
What's
has
the
both.
Card.
difference?
Well, they call them cards.
So what do you?
The NES called them game packs.
Yeah.
It's true.
Is this an NES game?
An NES game? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
hate you all.
Late in
Everybody sitting here, I hate.
Hard
Except for this guy. I
mode.
love this skeleton. This little skeleton's all right.
Our skeleton
Love the
son.
Skelly boy.
But first skeleton is great.
Don't ever talk to
NES
me or my
game
skeleton
in the
son ever
90s.
again.
That significantly narrows this
It's
down.
probably Wario's Woods.
Yeah. That game's spooky, though. Woods are spooky.
Yeah.
Woods are inherently spooky.
Everyone knows that.
The establishing shot for every horror movie is just woods.
Yep.
Not thrillers, though.
No.
Establishing shot for those is usually like a screaming person on a roller coaster.
Yeah, or like a I was gonna say like an airplane.
Yeah, exactly.
Was this an arcade port?
No.
Was this a licensed game?
I guess it's not Chiller.
Was this a licensed game? No.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it's Wario's Woods. Yoshi's Cookie.
What was the first couple of questions we asked about?
just Yoshi.
What it was on consoles. We never talked about
Not
the
spooky.
developer or anything like that, or if it was an exclusive, right?
No.
No.
Was this developed?
And a lot of the games in the NES era that at that point were ported around to Super Nintendo Genesis. So we already established that they're not on those systems.
Was
so
this
it's
game
just-
made developed by Nintendo?
No.
All right.
Third party NES game,
Mega Man 5.
1990s.
Mega Man 6.
Did it have Mega Men or a Mega Man?
Is this part of a series?
Actually, yes. And that is 15.
Great.
Actually,
What does that mean?
part of a series.
What do you mean?
So like it could have like a sequel that not a lot of people know about, like Bubble Bobble. People don't really know about Bubble Bobble Part 2, but Bubble Bobble didn't come out in the 90s.
Is it one of those? Oh my god! Like
Or it got a sequel. It's like Bionic Commando and got a sequel 25 years later.
Yeah, that came out in '88. And 1990 is like a good year for the NES too, so it could be a whole swath of games. I don't really know where
but
to
I
go
can't
from
think of any third party 1990s part of a series.
Not
NES
licensed.
Game. Not licensed.
Oh, there are so many.
Could be.
Is there like
just so
any
many.
Adventure Island games that came out?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good guess.
Adventure
That's
Island.
a
Well,
s-
again, like all the sequels came out in the 90s. So like, but Adventure Island 2 and 3, maybe just 3, and then stuff like
Could
that.
be.
We could ask if the company's still around because Hudson's not around.
It could be Maniac Mansion. Because Day of the Tentacles is.
Now that's spooky, and we get that game like we had it 3 times already. I don't know where to go from here. Is the company still around making games?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not Sunsoft or
Hudson, or
But not made by Nintendo.
not made by Nintendo.
so it's probably Capcom or Konami.
That's what I was gonna say.
But there's also a bunch of weird little companies from then.
American Sammy.
LJN.
Love Louis J. Norman.
I don't know where to go from
3
here.
questions and a guess.
Okay.
3 questions.
Is this a? We could go with genre, or I could just go for companies.
Did we ask if it was a sequel? No, we asked if it was part of a series.
Yeah.
And it's.
I wish I knew if it was a
yes.
sequel or not, but I don't feel like that's
Actually, yes.
worth asking. Do you kill stuff in this game?
No.
Peaceful game.
Weird.
So like a puzzle game, like
You killed them blocks though.
How about this? In spite of the title, no, you don't kill anyone.
Whoa.
Interesting.
What does that mean? Death race.
Yeah, it's going to be something like, like with a gotcha or something in the title. Or kill or die or I don't know. I don't know where to go from here.
oh my god.
I don't know what to do.
Wario's Woods. Except it's not.
Was this made in Japan?
The NES port was handled in Japan.
What?
So it was a PC game that was ported to
Yeah.
NES.
Could be Death Race. Did Death Race, is that in the NES library?
Yeah. That was an arcade game, so we already eliminated it. And the weird port is a unlicensed cartridge. It's the same company that did Chiller on the NES.
Is it Chiller?
There's not
No, that's too spooky. I already asked that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the spookiest game. I'm thinking it's going to be something like Rampart, but that was an arcade game. What was like PC games that got ported? Or maybe it wasn't a PC game. I don't know. Was this a PC port?
Yes.
Okay. So now we get to answer it. So
That brings us to the
I think I can do
20th.
this.
Lemmings.
Yeah, it could be Lemmings.
has a title that makes you
Wait,
think that you
That was
killing
on those
stuff,
other
though.
systems. So we've eliminated all these other systems.
PC port where you
There's Sid
kill
Meier's
stuff in the
Pirates. All right. Got that. We got Mule.
You kill hella people in Pirates.
Do you really?
Well, you sink ships.
Okay.
It's implied.
There's Mule. I'm thinking of strategy games.
Yeah.
There's those. There's oh boy. We're not going to get this, are we?
Probably
it's
not.
hard mode.
Are we gonna get it?
Because it's hard mode. All right, give us some hints. We give up.
We lose.
Okay.
We lose.
Where you
but
don't
let us
kill
save-
anybody, but
save
the
some
name
face.
makes
Okay.
you think you would.
Released in 1990,
Yeah.
developed by Electronic Arts,
Yeah.
but Konami handled the NES port.
Ooh.
Okay. It just sounds like it's like Track and Field 2 or something. Is it?
It is Ski or Die. Not Skate or Die. And I think there was even a Skate or Die 2, and then there's Ski or Die. So part of a series, but no one's dying in the game, actually.
How fun. I've never played it.
So Die was in the name.
It's like a Winter Games with all like extreme sports.
Wow, that was real dumb. I love it.
That was suggested by who was this by? David from Salt Lake City.
You don't need to hide the paper from us.
Well, in case you want to try doing normal mode
Oh, no.
in the last-
I just want to know what the normal mode was.
in the last 6 minutes.
All right, David, I look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, Dave from Salt Lake City. You guys want to know what normal
can at
mode
me.
Yeah.
would have been?
Yeah.
Well,
Give us like one hint.
Or do you want to just play normal mode?
yeah, lightning
I
round.
don't know.
Yeah, lightning round, normal mode.
We got to go fast. Seth.
We got
Yeah, I only get to do
This
this
is
like
from
twice a
before
year.
1990,
Like before 1990? No.
before 2000,
No.
before 2008.
Yes.
Was this a console exclusive?
No.
Was this developed in Japan?
No.
Did it come to the Xbox 360?
No. That's 6.
Did it come to the Xbox One?
Yes.
Whoa. So is it an Xbox One? Wait, but it came out before 2008. But it came to the Xbox One.
Oh wait, no wait. I thought you meant the original Xbox.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
This is
I did.
before
But
2008.
Xbox, original Xbox. That's
This is an OG Xbox game.
or it was on that. It was probably more popular on PlayStation.
But it was multi-platform. Does this game have stealth?
Yes.
I'm
Is this game spooky?
Yeah.
Is it could it be
counts.
grabbed by the ghoulies? That was an exclusive.
It was an exclusive. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking Splinter Cell when I said stealth, but
That's on multiple systems.
well, yeah, but
But it's not
It's not
spooky.
spooky.
Spooky stealth game.
Spooky stealth.
Could be Fatal Frame. Could be.
Would you call this a horror game?
It's not. It probably doesn't. Not the first thing that comes to mind, but it
not
definitely has
BioShock.
scary like horror elements, and that's 10.
So it's got some spookies in it. It's got some stealthies in it, but it's not like actually like overtly a horror game. What are
Stealthy.
spooky stealthies on the?
I'm
OG
thinking like
Xbox?
the do you shoot things with a gun?
I think that's one of your options. But that's not. That wouldn't be like your primary.
Yeah.
What was that game where
activity.
you're setting traps in a dungeon? I don't think that was on the Xbox.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Was this on
Dungeon
GameCube?
Trapper.
No.
Okay, because that would have narrowed it down immensely for me. Yeah, I'm not going to be. It's hard for me with the PlayStation 2 library being so big.
Yeah, same.
Wait, I thought this was Xbox.
Well,
Well,
we
it was
just know that.
it was on Xbox, but it was multi-platform.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Could be
Spooky.
Xbox PC.
Stealthy.
Not
This
develop-
is the easy mode.
This is right.
This is normal
No, this is
mode.
normal mode.
not
normal,
developed in
not-
Japan.
Easy mode is when Damon just tells us.
Yeah. That's when I pick. Super Mario Brothers 3.
Spooky, stealthy. Does it have skeletons in it?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Could
We all have a
could be
little
more.
skeleton.
Could be Morrowind.
You might leave a skeleton around. But if you're thinking of like animated skeletons, then no.
Does this have over the top violence?
Wait, is this?
Yes.
Over the top violence.
What was that? That Ghost and Goblins spinoff that they
I think
had?
this could be like Manhunt.
No, I'm thinking it's
Yeah.
that one where you played as the guy and it was like a 3D. It was like a Ghost and Goblins spinoff,
Did it come out before 1998?
and it was in that era, and it was a hard game. And it, I think when you died, you turned into a skeleton.
Over the top violence is such a good clue.
I know the game that Seth is talking about.
Okay, so then that's the clue that it's not the game I'm thinking of.
Sam might be right. This might be Manhunt.
Is the company that makes this game still around?
Yes.
Do they make Grand Theft Auto?
Yes.
Is it Manhunt?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
We got a victory. Don't
Normal
at us.
mode.
No, the first person can at me.
Normal mode. That one was from Daniel in Costa Rica.
Nice.
Manhunt 2003, PS2, Xbox, and PC.
You really called that normal mode.
Right?
It's a weird.
I own Ski or Die though. I should have got that.
I never played Manhunt, but it got pretty good reviews. But it was very controversial at the time.
Yeah,
But I never
the
played.
controversy is well earned. It's just like really, and like I don't have a problem with violence in any sort of medium, but like Manhunt's like too much.
They made a Manhunt 2 for the Wii.
that
Yeah.
we
It wasn't
fans
on Wii.
were craving.
Manhunt 2 wasn't on Wii?
No.
Are
It
you
was
sure?
Just, yeah.
Is that true?
Are you thinking of?
We wouldn't have done that. But there was a controversy about
Mad World?
where it got Mad World. They did get an AO rating on whatever it was on.
Yeah, one of the few mainstream AO games that's not like a porn game.
Manhunt 2 Wii. Nintendo Wii review.
I think Manhunt 2 wasn't.
You do the review?
Not that one. Manhunt 2 was on Wii.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
Apology accepted.
All right, I'm sorry, Damon.
All right. That's all the scoops that we have for you this week. Thanks for joining us, Seth.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you again to Harry S. for sending us our skeleton son.
Worked so well.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Seth. My name is Damon. This is IGN Game Scoop, and we're out.